Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on what time of the day you're watching this video clip. My name is Amit Sodha, back again, but this time with Dina Bhudia from P2M Group. She's been in business for over 21 years and has got some remarkable stories and lessons to share with us today. So, welcome to the session, Dina. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you, Emma. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Absolutely, yeah. And you were just getting me excited early on in the call by telling me a bit about, what your business is all about and how you got it. So, why don't we start off by you summarizing a bit about your business and how long you've been in business for?
Yeah, sure. I've been in business for over 21 years now. And my company name, as you said, is P2M Group. I've got two parts to that business. One is financial services, so mortgages, insurance, residential and commercial lending. And then I've got the estate agency part, which is sales, lettings, and management.
Excellent. And are there any particular areas within the country you operate in, or is it anywhere, everywhere your customers go?
Yeah, so predominantly we're based in Northwest London. So Harrow, Wembley, Watford area. We've just taken on a second office recently, but I would say in and around London.
Yeah, oh, London, brilliant. Now you've got a remarkable part to your story in that you had a really good corporate career, almost got to the top of where you were in that world, and then you decided to leave that all behind to jump into the business world. So tell us a bit about A, how you made that transition, and B, what drove you to make that transition?
Yeah, sure. Going into the corporate world was actually, I felt at the time, the best thing ever because
Mm,
I'm not a university graduate. So for me to actually get what I would have thought as an apprentice,
mm,
the banking sector paid for my qualifications. Like you said, I was at the peak of my career. It was phenomenal. I was at the top of my game. But there was something missing, and a few factors that were missing for me at my time as I had my first child, and the flexibility in the corporate world just wasn't there. I'm talking 20 years back now, Amit, and I wanted that. I wanted to be a mum. I thought, well, why can't I not have a career, and why can I not be a mum and actually fulfill everything I wanted? And also, I noticed that I was known as a salary number. I'd ring up head office, and I'd say, right, can I take your salary number? I'm like, yeah, but my name's Dina, and I didn't like that. It just didn't sit with me. I thought, well, I have a name. I want my own brand. People come to me because of me. Why am I being known as a salary number?
mm,
And that was a big mental shift for me. And that made me think, well, okay, what are my options? I didn't want to go, I was headhunted by the banks. I thought, well, that just means me going somewhere else and still being a salary number. And
mm.
that same thing, that's not going to deal with all these things that are going on in my head. And then I chose to go self-employed. And it was one of the hardest things at the time because you got to remember, I'm coming from security of knowing every month what my income is going to be,
Yeah.
security of going 9 to 5 to work, security of knowing my lunch hour, of people coming through the door. What is branding? Didn't need to worry about any of that. And all of a sudden, going into the self-employed world, the biggest thing was how am I going to pay my mortgage next month? Um, but you know you've got to take risks, the calculated risks, and actually, if you know your own skill sets and you value your own abilities, I think that is all the fire that you need to take you in the next direction.
Awesome, awesome. I mean, just listening to that is quite inspirational. So, not wanting to just be a salary number, to putting it all on the line, not knowing where your mortgage payments are going to come from, and taking on a whole career like that, along with a family as well. A couple of important gems over there. So, you are a businesswoman that's also a mother, and that's when you took a risk as well, when you were probably really young into your family. And you mentioned an important point about backing yourself and your skills. But let's talk about being a businesswoman and being a mother as well. How do you find the balance for that? Because plenty of listeners were probably thinking, right, they are already a mother, and they got a business, or they want to own a business, but their mother sort of thinking, is it the right time for them? How would you share your wisdom on giving advice to those people?
Yeah, well, so all mothers can tell you, Amit, or all parents can tell you, being a parent, you are multitasking, you are juggling so many, plates
Mm,
around. And I think that's what business is. There is so many different facets to business that, you know, you've got to juggle, and you're ever evolving. There isn't this book that tells you actually to be a parent, you need to do X, Y, Z. And actually in business, it's no different. You've got to be adaptable. You've got to be, you meet different people. And but what you do have is that fire. And in this case, it's your child. And I suppose for me, it was, you know, making sure that I was going to be a mentor to my children. And it was about breaking a lot of the stigmas that were attached within my community. That, you know, it wasn't just going to be my husband who's going to be the breadwinner. And actually, I'm not going to be the housewife that's just going to make the dinners at home. And for me, that was really the spark. And I would encourage everyone that, you know, you manage your own time. And when you
Mm,
work for someone, you don't necessarily manage your own time.
mm,
And when you do manage your time, you know, I could be speaking to them. We've got technology now. In those days, you didn't have that. But
mm.
being able to manage your time means that you can work more efficiently and your capacity actually increases. So yeah, that's
Managing time. It'd be amazing if you can shed some light on some of the key skills that have really helped you along the way. So, as you made a transition from, say, being in the corporate world to becoming an entrepreneur, running a business, two branches, what core skills are really helping you right now?
relationship building.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Every relationship you build, don't go out with an intention to receive.
Mm,
Even though we're running businesses, you know, some people may differ with this, Amit, but I personally think that you've got to go out when you meet people to give. That, you know, you're just out to give, whether it be knowledge, whether it be, you know, professional advice, whatever industry you're in. And then I think, you know, reciprocation happens. Secondly, you do need to make nugget goals. You do need to have a goal, an aspiration, and try and think, where do you want to be? Because then you can then work backwards and put them into small steps. Then you need to think, well, what skills, what type of people do you need to get you to those steps? Then you go and find them. And then, you know, for me, it's about growing, keep going. You know, it's not for me about, you know, I want the big house, or I want this, or I want that. I think organic growth and healthy growth, your results will come. Don't go chasing the results. The results will come if you put the effort in. So I think most people said more than five there, but you know,
Amazing
I think
nuggets
those.
over there. Relationship building, just go out and give. Don't expect to receive. You'll always get what you want. And being a coach, you said something that's always music to my ears. Set goals and work backwards and think about what you're gonna do to build up to those goals. And you mentioned a really good line over there. I'm not sure if you realized, but keep going and keep growing. Sounds
Oh
amazing.
no,
I
I
think that's
didn't.
going to be the line of the day for me. Keep
Oh,
growing and keep going. Love it. And you said skills. Find the right skills for your business as your business grows. So talking of goals, let's
mhm.
look ahead to the future now and think about what lies in Dina's path for the next, say, 3 to 5 years. If you don't mind sharing, what are your aspirations over the next 3 to 5 years for your business at the moment? That would be amazing.
Yeah, I think on the back of what we've just spoken about, for me, next 5 years is to mentor and grow others.
Mhm.
I think for me that would be it. All the skills and the leadership and where I am today is about imparting that knowledge now. And I'm a big advocate of inclusivity, and inclusivity in all ways, whether it be ethnic minority, whether it be LGBTQ. You know, bring your whole self to work.
Mm.
So for me, again, you know, I've been recently fortunate to be part of some diversity task forces where I'm really sort of putting myself at the forefront and telling my stories to encourage anyone and everyone that you can do it. And it's about, you know, putting yourself out there, because it doesn't just come to you. You've got to go out to grab it. So yeah, and financially on a business front, because when you usually get asked that question, I always find someone will say, oh, I want to make £1 million, or I want to see my business grow. Yes, we all want to see our businesses grow. So for me, maybe you know, to acquire other businesses or a smaller network, because then I can grow the diversification. So getting smarter than, you know, putting the job out there on an advert and recruiting someone, I think you then start thinking, well, actually, I could buy a firm, or I can work in collaboration with another firm, or different skill sets, because you cannot be a specialist in everything. So I think that's where I see my business in the next 5 years. Yeah.
Interesting. So a bit of like, as going back to something you said at the beginning about giving and taking, you want to give, you want to mentor, pass on the skills and knowledge you've accumulated in the last 20 years to other people that are up and coming, but also keep growing, keep on going. Amazing, amazing. Also looking forward to the next 5 years. Clearly, it will be delusionary to kind of think there'll be no challenges ahead of you to accomplish the goals you set. So, well, it would be good to know about being 20 years into business. A, would you say you still face challenges every day? And B, could you give us a bit of a snapshot into the kind of challenges as a business owner you're facing internally? So we all know that we are potentially in a recession right now, and the political situation could be unstable, etc. Forgetting all the external stuff aside, because we can't influence that. From a business perspective, as an owner, what kind of challenges do you face on a day-to-day basis?
I think on an internal basis, we've had a good run. Just going back to, within my financial sector, we've had a good few years where, interest rates have been at rock bottom, and people have just been coming to us. With the foundation of a business that's 20 years old, referral work is my core way of engaging with people. So it's been phenomenal. And the existing team that I haven't necessarily seen the financial crisis that I went through, the credit crunch that I've gone through. So it is actually reskilling my team in terms of, it's not going to be given on a silver plate. The calls aren't going to come in. Yeah. We're now going to have to realign, learn how to objection handle, learn how to pick up that phone. And actually, bottom line, I would say the term proactive. Be a lot more proactive than in the last few years has most probably been a little bit more reactive.
Right.
So that is what we face in the next few years for definite,
Interesting.
And rekindle those relationships, because it's relationships that get you through the tough times ahead. And I've always had that, always felt that, to be honest.
Awesome. So kind of refocusing back on the team, you said the current team you have haven't gone through the cycles of boom and bust as much as you have. So kind of realigning with them, retraining them, reskilling them, and then becoming proactive and kind of building relationships, because that's what got you through to where you are right now. And hey, look, we all know business is a relationship business, and it's going to help you go forward as well. Okay, so that's one key thing. What looking back and reflecting back over life again, back when you were, may say, 18 or 20 years old, what advice would you give to yourself, to the Dina back when she was 18 or 20, to her to have an even more successful life than you would have had right now?
Believe in myself. Actually look inside and understand what are my skill sets. Because sometimes in life you learn that through default, or you need somebody else to tell you that. But actually, the sooner you look in the mirror, I feel, and actually write down on paper, this is what I'm good at, this is what I need to work on, I think that's when you realize that where your strengths are. If I'd known that at the age of 18, I would have focused on my strengths and actually elevated far quicker, possibly, or actually known, how to move forward. And I think finding a role model or a mentor would have definitely helped. Because it's like with anything, when you're at school, you get given a textbook, right, Amit? And that gives you the guidelines on how to pass your GCSEs, and this is what you need to do, and this is how you're going to learn it. But in life, you don't necessarily get given that. So I suppose a role model is like your teacher, for your academic years. And if you could have a role model after the academic years in your personal life, then I think that definitely helps. Yeah.
Amazing. So giving advice to yourself is all about, the advice you would have given yourself is to believe in yourself, know the skills, become really familiar with them, even write them down, and focus on those things to push you through and give you a great future. And having a role model, So as we draw to a close, who would your role model be at the moment?
That's an interesting question, actually. I struggle with an answer to that, and I'll tell you
Mm,
why. Because there is some amazing business people out there. There is some
mm,
amazing coaches out there. But for me, a role model has to be someone who's had lived experience, someone who I can relate to, someone who I think I can see it and I can believe it. And I suppose in the last 15, 20 years or so, I mean, I've been looking for one for myself that,
mm,
is there someone who works in the financial industry, who's got their own business, who's a woman from the ethnic minority that I'm from, that can relate to my cultural boundaries. And I've struggled. I'm like, well, I can't find them. Um, so I actually don't have one, is the answer to your question. Um, and I struggled to actually realize that I don't actually have one. But sometimes, you know what, I mean, you don't realize that we are all role models ourselves to
mm.
somebody, whether it be a 5-year-old child, whether it be a teenager, whether it be someone aspiring to come into the financial services. So I feel that I'm breaking a glass ceiling and thinking, well, you know what, I'm going to be a role model. And I think everyone should believe that they're role models.
Amazing.
Um, so
As in the kind of goals you've set for yourself for the next 5 years, you want to be kind of passing on the skills, knowledge, and leadership abilities you picked on to the people out there that probably need it as well. One final question, if I may. We've got a couple of minutes left still.
sure.
So clearly, you've been doing a lot of learning as you go along in
Mhm,
your in your business life.
mhm.
What would you say is something you've learned in the last 5 or 10 years that is really going to help you see out another 10 years in your career or in your profession right now?
Technology, technology, along with the things we've learned in COVID, that's
Mm,
somewhat forced technology on us, and flexibility. Flexibility with people, the way you manage people, the way we communicate with people, and technology allows for a lot of routine tasks to be done and actually spend quality time with your people in terms of upskilling them or training them and developing them. I think historically it was about filling your day 9 to 5 with lots of work, lots of medial, tasks, and we've got to evolve from that and actually take our people out of the tasks and let them grow.
mm.
And not just think, well, actually they're there to do this task. So that is definitely the way forward, in any industry, industry, to be fair.
Absolutely. Technology, flexibility, and helping your own team members grow to create a structure for growth that we all want. And but Dina, you've been amazing today. So many learnings. I've got 2 pages of notes of gems from you to read upon myself. And hopefully, I'm very sure that listeners for this business spotlight interview have had plenty of things to learn about as well. You've been amazing. Thank you very much once again. And speak to you soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.